Everyone, welcome back to another Taekook love story. This is going to have three parts, so hope you will love it. Jungkook's POV, I was standing in front of the stove, stirring the pasta I had prepared into a creamy tomato sauce when two muscular arms wrapped around my middle. I instantly grinned as I turned around in my husband's arms, not at all surprised by the gesture. Thing returned a smile, his eyes narrowing to slits as he looked over my shoulder. It smells good, he said as he took a step back and leaned against the counter next to the stove, allowing me to finish preparing dinner. It will be ready in few minutes, love. I sat back, furrowing my brows as I got a good look at him. You look tired, kids. Thanks, Goo, he said with a grin before playfully hitting my chest. Long day, I gave him a sympathetic smile before stepping away from the hot stove to retrieve the bottle of white wine I had brought on my way home from work out of the fridge. It's his favorite and I adore seeing him excited he gets when he sees the family a bottle. I then took two wine glasses from the cupboard and uncorked the bottle before pouring a glass for each of us, making sure to fill Taehoong's glass to the rim. I watched him clench as I handed him the glass before taking a long sip of the bittersweet liquid. He says, "You are the best." It only took a few more minutes before dinner is served, and I wish I could hear things satisfied cry as he took the first bite. Tastes amazing, love. Is this a brand new recipe? He asked, mouthing or saying, I'm not sure which the word as he was singing something Thing has done for as long as I have known him. At it's a popular dish at the restaurant, but I have never had the chance to prepare it for you. I said before going to tell him about my day. Thing pays complete attention to me while I use sign is to talk to him, which is something I have always admired about him. He then gave me a warm smile as he told me about his day. He is kindergarten teacher at the local school and he loved to tell me about all the hilarious and good things his students did during the day. The way his eyes twinkled when he talked about the kids told me how much he enjoyed his job. His smile doesn't even fade when he got up to show me the colorful fingerprints left by paint on the back of the favorite jeans. After our plates were emptied and both of our tummies were full, Tim grabbed their dishes and carried them to the sink to be washed later. It's Friday night, neither of us wanted to clean, and dishes can easily wait until tomorrow morning in the sink. Both of us made our way to the living room where I grabbed my book and then flipped through the channels on the television. I only watched a movie or a television show with him or on rare occasions. I knew Thing wouldn't mind turning the subtitle on for me, but it's often tough for me to focus on the plot when I'm reading them the entire time. I would much rather read a good book under a blanket with thanks warm, bare feet pressed against my thigh. I became absorbed in book I was reading, only noticed the passing of time when I looked down at my watch, which had both hands pointing to 12. Thing was fast asleep next to me, one of his arms dangling, limping off sofa. Before getting up, I smiled fondly as I tucked my bookmark between the pages of the book and set it aside, carefully prayed the TV remote from the crib, turning off the television, reaching over to sweep my husband's into my arms, carrying him to the bed. Sometimes I have grown very good at throughout our 5 years marriage. This is how most of our evenings ended, and I enjoyed the familiarity. As I walked up the stairs to our bedroom, I softly smiled when Theon began screaming without the typical singing. I shrugged to catch what he was saying and I watched him murmur something sleepily. Just bringing you to the bed, love, I said, was the rough and gravely. From not using it very often, I knew how to talk since I had at an early age thanks to years of speech therapy and my parents' preservation. But although all of my loved ones, including him, told me it was quite clear and more than okay, I had never been too secure in my voice. Nonetheless, I prefer to use it only with people I trust. They fell into that group a few months after we began dating. They gently grabbed my face, making sure I was directly looking at him as he mouthed, "I love you." Thanks, POV, I love you too. Jungkook said easily, and my heart flipped in my chest at the words. Hearing Jungkook's voice is still a big deal for me, and I consider myself lucky that he trusted me enough to let me hear his beautiful, mellow voice now and then. As he carefully placed me down on the bed, I flashed him a smile before he slid in behind me. A few seconds. Jungkook's POV flashback. Taeyong and I had met several years ago at a charity event. It was a dinner event that I had volunteered to cook for when I first started my job as a chef. It was also for a good cause to collect funds for children with cancer. I was little nervous before going since it was my first time attending an event of this, and I was hoping that the fact that I was deaf wouldn't be a problem for the organizers. When I got to the venue and met by Tehang, most of my concerns vanished. He was without a doubt the most beautiful man I had ever seen, and his warm and inviting smile as he introduced himself said it all. When I kept staring blankly, his smile started to fade, and it was then I realized I must be looking like a complete moron. "I'm Jungkook," I sighed, slowly, finger spelling my name. "Sorry, I'm deaf," I added, pointing to my ear to make my point come across. "Oh, you are the safe, aren't you?" he asked, catching me off guard when he sat back at me. Even if his sighing wasn't perfect, it felt like a miracle to me. I nodded eagerly and trailed a few steps behind him as he walked me through the kitchen to start preparing for the event. We didn't get to chat much beyond that because we both so occupied with our assigned task, and but I made sure to get his number before leaving. Even when Tehong finally realized that what I was asking for, he blushed beautifully, and I walked away with a big grin on my face and his phone number written on a small piece of paper in my back pocket. Although it had been 2 weeks since the event, things appear to have improved. The following time I met him, which was in a small cafe, then with each date it became better and better until he was able to have a whole discussion with me in sign language. That's when I realized he then was the one. He didn't mind the language barrier. In fact, he welcomed it. He went out of his way to study and practiced a complete Tehang language to communicate with me. With Tehang, I felt comfortable and acknowledged, and I didn't feel complacent to explain myself or alter in any way. Thing was the same way with everyone, so sweet and caring, and it only took a few weeks for me to fall head over heels for him. He didn't care what other people thought as long as we both knew how much we loved each other, and I proposed only 6 months. He had even sobbed when he first heard my voice after I had asked him to marry me. Our wedding had been a beautiful moment, a beautiful celebration for our love for one another in front of all the friends and family. Even today, 5 years later, I continue to find new ways to fall in even more in love with him every day, and I hope with that heart that things will when I woke up in the next morning. My stomach was violently crunching, and I dashed out of the bed as quickly as possible to avoid an accident. As I rushed to our institute's bathroom and knelt in front of the toilet, a long gone escaped my throat as I began emptying my stomach in my bowl. I can hear the horrible noise I'm making, and I'm glad that they wouldn't be what young he is when he wake up. I sighed as I rested against the cold mat of bathtub, staying on my knees till my stomach slightly settled. I closed my eyes and concentrate on my breathing, hope that my nation would pass. Hey, I opened my eyes again a few minutes later after hearing my husband's voice, and I gave him a faint smile. Good morning, I said from my limp position on the bathroom floor. I wished I had the strength to stand up and rub out the wrinkle that had formed between Jungkook's brows as he headed to the sink to run. I exhaled once he struck the cool towel over my face before pushing it firmly against the back of my neck. Jungkook pouted and ran finger through my dripping wet hair. You okay, love? You shouldn't be here, I said, leaning into Jungkook's touch. Despite the words he was saying, I I leaned into Jungkook's broad chest as he shook his head and frowned again, leaning even closer when he gently pulled me away. A smile creeps across my face. I can't help myself even when I am not feeling well. I am constantly overprotective of Jungkook. I'm serious, I said, trying to project an intimidating look despite the flush on my cheeks. I don't want you getting sick. With that, I pushed myself to my feet, grabbing the edge of the counter to keep myself stable. Jungkook got up right after me, grabbing my hips as I sweat from dizziness. I took a deep breath while closing my eyes. Will you please go back to bed, baby? Jungkook said from behind me, his voice worried as he maintained his grip on me. I nodded slowly and began walking back to our bedroom. I could feel Jungle stare on me as he walked to the bed and sat gently on the edge. I will go make you some ginger tea. It will help settle your stomach, he says as his knees in front of me. I let out a deep breath and made sheer comfort in bed, burying my face in Jungkook's pillow, allowing the familiar soothing smell to relieve my anxiety as he kissed my hot forehead before leaving the bathroom. Leaving the room, this was not how I planned to spend my weekend. I took a few moments to swell in self-pity before Jungkook returned. Slow sips, baby, Jungkook said as he returned, handed me warm mug. My stomach was already from the smell of hot ginger. I feel like sick, I said as Jungkook pressed his cool lips to my forehead. I know, I'm sorry, Jungkook said He sat next to me in the bed with a frown on his face, allowing me to rest my aching head on his shoulder. He reached up and ran his finger through my disbehaved hair, tenderly scratching my scalp in the way he knew I liked. It's a Thursday evening and I'm nervously sitting on the edge of the bathroom. Jungkook was still at the restaurant tonight since he was working the dinner service, and I only had one important thing to do for the rest of the evening. I grinned when I opened the fridge to get a bottle of water after returning home from the work to empty and silence house. Jungkook had left me a container of homemade chicken soup on the top shelf along with a note that said, "Hope you feel better, Sonthe. Love, Jungkook." I appreciate the thoughtfulness, but I doubt the soup will help me feel better. In reality, the bag I am now clenching in my left hand answer to all of my questions. I have been feeling terrible. I knew it bothered Jungkook to know that I was still going to work while being sick, but I had a sense of it wasn't the flu. I didn't have a fever or even any other flu-like symptoms, and my nuisance usually went away after a few hours of being awake. Now, knowing Jungkook wouldn't be home until late night, dropped by local on my way home and went straight to the I stood at the exit for a few seconds, staring at blankly at the wall of boxes before picking one up. My nerves were eating away at me as I stood in the line waiting for pay. Things I drive home for was slow, and by the time I got home, our block, I was freezing in my seat before entering our home. I took deep breath and dashed to the refrigerator to fetch some water to refill my blender. My face lit up with a hesitant smile as I read Jungkook's wonderful note. Despite my strong desire for the test to be positive, I realized I had no idea how Jungkook would react. Jungkook, like myself, enjoys spending time with children, and children, in turn, enjoy spending time with Jungkook. The students bounce off the walls every time he came into my classroom, mostly to bring me food. They adore Jungkook and are constantly fighting for the attention. I occasionally teach them basic sign language words, and the students like being able to engage with Jungkook in this way. But now I think about it, we never actually considered started a family together. He and I were both quite busy and satisfied with our jobs, but I believe there has been a we are both doing well financially, especially Jungkook, who was recently promoted to head chef at the restaurant. We had just bought our first house together last year, a lovely two-store, three-bedroom home in the sub with a decent sized garden, and I could already see Jungkook and our kids playing badminton in the backyard. Took myself and I wasn't sure if it was nerves or another round of inconvenience morning sickness. I took one final long breath before ripping the box open and repeatedly reading over the directions while resting the test on the venti. I then took the two white plastic sticks and peed on them after uncupping them. As per the instructions he just read, I took my phone from my back pocket and started a timer for 3 minutes. My hands were trembling as I placed the phone next to the two tests and closed my eyes again as I sat on the bathtub is. The timer went off far faster than I expected and barely paused for reflection as a second before picked up and flipping over the first taste. As soon as I noticed the two pink lines on the white stickers, tears of joy welled up in my eyes as I two equal pink line and flowed even harder. I put hand on the flat stomach, reflexing, and I couldn't help but grin at the thought of having a baby with the love of my life. It's shortly after 10 o'clock. I resisted the urge to jump out of seat, and the front door opened when Jungkook returned home after work. From work, I was sitting in the living room watching television, or more accurately, the television was playing in the background. The two positive pregnancy tests I slid under my legs. Hi baby, how are you feeling? He asked, slicing one of his arms around my shoulder as he sat next to me on the couch. Better, really good actually, I said nervously, the taste burning a hole under my thigh as tried but failed to not fish too much as he placed one of his hands on my bouncing knee. He frowned. What's gotten onto you, baby? He asked with a smile. I have to show you something, I replied, explaining, pulling out the two tests, handing them to Jungkook's surprise. His usual face turned pale as he gazed down at the white streaks. I These yours? My heart began to pound in my chest as the leg of enthusiasm. I then nodded, trying to shrink myself on the couch. His gaze returned to the two positive tests, where he stared blankly for a time until I tapped it on the shoulder to draw his attention. Please say something, I said, tears in my eyes. I can't, Jungkook says as he handed the samples back to me. Standing up, my husband of 5 years walked back to the front door and left, and all I could do was watch with tears streaming down my cheeks. Thanks, POB. I spent the entire night in the bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep without Jungkook's warmth body beside me. I tried texting and calling him but was unable, so I spent the rest of the night worrying and imagining the worst case scenario. I imagined Jungkook would be thrilling at the possibility of us starting our own family, maybe lie awake for hours in our bed, clenching Jungkook's pillow and inhaling his comfort accent. Morning sickness in the end was what dragged me out of the bed in 5 a.m. I laid out a proper soap as I emptied my stomach in the toilet bowl. My clenched white with the force I was using to keep hold of it while I sat back on my leg after to brush my hair away from my eyes and press a cool cloth to my face, or to hold me to the bathroom floor and press sweet kisses to my sweat hair. After an hour, the nuisance had subsided enough for me to get up and get ready for the day at work. I prayed I didn't have to go the first time in life, but I convinced myself it would be good distraction. Unfortunately, the hours seems to drag on, and I was just relieved that I was finally the weekend as I led the last of my young kids out of the classroom. Switch off the radio and include in self-pity. I held my breath as I rounded the corner onto our street, hoping to see Jungkook's car waiting for me. It wasn't. That's when I realized how terrible his actions were. My despair turned to rage with Jungkook still not answering my calls or texts. I decided to call his mother to see if she knew what was going on. She picked up on the third ring, and I can tell by the tone of her voice that she at least knew part of the story. What happened, Taehyung? She immediately. Jungkook got here in tears last night and refused to leave his old room all day. He even refused to go work. What's happening is that your son is acting like a pixel, I said bitterly, letting out the rage I had holding it since last night. Told him he was going to be a father, and as soon as the words left my mouth, I regretted doing so. The in my mother-in-law's breath helped me to relax a little. You're pregnant, she said. Almost she couldn't see me over the phone. I nodded. I'm sorry, I said before my voice rose in anger as I remembered how Jungkook had abandoned me at such important moment. But I am. So can you please talk some sense into your grown son and send him back home? His dad did the exact same thing when he found out I was pregnant with Jimin. She said, letting out a sigh. The men are stubborn, Taehyung, but I will try my best, I promise, she said. Although I was far from hunger, I forced myself to eat for the sake of the baby. When I heard the front door open, I was sitting at the dining table finishing up leftovers. I rushed out of the chair and stormed in front of a standing Jungkook, sending him daggers with my eyes. What the freak, Jungkook? I said. Would you mind explaining why you left me after I told you I was pregnant for freak's sake? As he shrugged off his coat and turned back to face me, Jungkook appeared sad and exhausted. I'm sorry, my blood boiled as I glared at him. Sorry, doesn't cut it, Jungkook. What did you really what you did really hurt me? And as we both made our way to the living room, sitting on far possible from each other on our couch, he gave me puppy eyes. I'm sorry, he started sighing, and I know that's not nearly enough, but I really am. Taehyung, you need to understand that I never meant to hurt you. Well, you did. He took deep breath before continuing. I deserve your anger. I know what I did was wrong. I was just so scared, Taehyung. I still am really. My expression softened slightly. I'm deep, Taehyung. His he said flatly, and obvious pain in his face hurt me the core. I know that, Jungkook. I'm deep. How will I ever be a good parent? Jungkook asked, shattering my heart into million pieces. I wouldn't be able to hear them cry when they need their diaper changed or when they are hungry. I wouldn't be able to hear them scream when they get hurt in the garden. I wouldn't be able to hear their first word, to hear them laugh. As I drew closer to him, I felt overpowering need to hold and protect him from all evil in the world. Jungkook, love, you are going to be the best dad ever. Those things didn't matter one bit. We will find way to make it work. Yeah, I just know you are going to be such a great parent, love. You are so caring and gentle. This baby is going to love you so much, I said, grabbing one of his hands and pressing it against my flat belly. You are still get to see them take their first steps and see them smile, play outside. You will get to teach them how to bake and cook and how to be kind and amazing like you. I paused and reached over to wipe a few tears from his cheeks. I just wish you had talked to me. This is a baby. We are talking about love. I need you. I can't do this on my own. I smiled as Jungkook ran his thumb over the fabric of my shirt before removing his hand. I know. I'm really sorry, Thay, he said with a slight grim. That was a sick move on my part. I'm sorry, love. I'm here now. I swear I love you and I love this baby so much already. I'm just scared of messing it all up. Just talk to me, yeah? Instead of leaving me alone, wondering that the heck is happening, I said gently before leaning in to pull him into a hug. I promise I will do better. I love you, both of you. To be continued. This story going to have 2 more episodes. Hope you will enjoy it. What do you think? What is gonna happen? Is Jungkook gonna be a good dad or not? We will get to know all this in the next episode. Bye bye. Bye.